The text is Ephesians 4, what she's referring to. Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your wrath. So clearly in that text, not all anger is sin. I didn't mean to communicate that it was. I don't think that has anything to do with anger to God. I think that is like Jesus saying, if you know that your brother has aught against you, get it fixed and then go offer your offering. Some anger is appropriate. Jesus was clearly angry. It says when the man with the withered hand in Mark 3 was about to be healed, and they were all upset that he's going to heal on the Sabbath day, it says, he looked around upon them with anger, grieved at their hardness of heart. Those two emotions side by side, anger and grief. If we could put those two side by side, we might have a close thing to righteous anger. In other words, if you get angry at some political thing or get angry at abortion, get angry at lying and spinning in public life or whatever, get angry at sin, whether that anger gets out of hand so that James kicks in with the anger of man does not work the righteousness of God. When does that kick in? Probably it kicks in when, number one, it lasts too long and seethes, which is why you got to get rid of it before the sun goes down. In other words, it might be appropriate to feel an indignation, but if you nurture that thing, it'll eat you alive. And if you to go to bed with it and sleep on it and wake up and then have it again, over time, the emotional effect of going to bed on anger, and really I think in that context is probably unresolved conflict. That happens over and over in a marriage or between a parent and a child. Well, you can just watch the distance appear, just like that. The distance between the son and the father. I've had 4 sons, and I've had disputes with all of them, big time. Big collisions. Big angry moments. Sometimes justified, mostly not. When I'm doing the anger. And they're clearly doing the anger too. But I've got my share. And in anger, if they're little, you may spank them in a way that you shouldn't have. I believe in spanking, but careful spanking. Or if they're older, the door gets slammed, you stay in there when you're ready to talk right to your mother, then you come out. Now, what do you do at that moment? What happens to that relationship? You got 2-3 hours before you're going to go to bed. He comes out, he's playing his music, he's doing his homework, and nothing is said. That's the way a lot of families handle it. You just go to bed. That happens 800 times in growing up, you got major problems for that kid's marriage. And so on. So, what should the dad do? The dad is responsible here. I mean, the kid is going to be held responsible by God, but the dad is doubly responsible for his anger, and even if he didn't sin in the anger that he had, it was wholly appropriate. His responsibility is to get this thing fixed. In as much as he can. And like it says in Romans 12, in as much as it lies in you, live at peace with all men. Well, you can't make that kid happy, but you can try. So an hour later, kid comes out, before you go to bed, say, let's just talk for a minute, okay? Noel, come here. Okay, now it's supper time, it didn't go well. And I got really mad because of what you said. Pick Barnabas because he's easiest to pick on because he's nice. So what you said, Barnabas, really made me mad. That's not the way to talk to your mother. I don't want you to defend yourself right now because she did this or that. I know that's what you were thinking. And I don't want to get between here. I just want to say we all know it didn't happen the way it should have happened. The way it should have. We didn't fix this right. I got angrier than I should. I'm sorry, Barnabas. You did wrong, but I did wrong. I'm sorry. Would you forgive me? Oh, that is healing. For a dad to apologize to a teenage kid is massively healing. So many teenagers never taste that from their dads. Never feel a broken dad. They won't ever see any manliness modeled in brokenness and humility, and I blew it. So I think don't let the sun go down on your wrath means some kind of dynamic like that, probably. Don't just go to bed on a broken relationship inasmuch as it lies within you. Now, Jesus went to bed every night on broken relationships with the Pharisees. And there's always going to be people in your life that are mad at you, and you can't wear the whole burden of the world. I mean, I got enemies everywhere who don't like what I think about Calvinism, or what I think about manhood and womanhood, or what I think about the foreknowledge of God, or what I'm, just all kinds of things. They think John Piper is arrogant and proud and doctrinaire and whatever, just however you want to put the spin on the thing. And you say, okay, I can respond to some of that mail, and I can reach out to some people that I know and say, but I don't respond to all of it. I can't. It's just too many. And they live all over the world. And I can't get at them. And I just take real comfort from the fact that in my church here, there's one of you I did this a week ago with. I don't think you're here. I wouldn't even mind telling you who it was. So I was very abrupt and I think unpastoral and unkind with someone 2 weeks ago. And my consciousness was so bad all day long. I said, oh man, that dishonored the Lord. If I don't fix this, it'll smooth over. They'll be nice to me. I know they will. They're nice people. But there'll always be this distance that's going to grow. So I called him up in the evening, and he picked up the phone. I said, hi, this is Pastor John. He said, oh. Like, I did not expect this because you seemed upset this morning. And I just had to say, I just didn't talk the way I should have at all this morning. And say, I love you guys, I'm sorry. And then moved on from there. I think I had to do that. I was upset, and I just didn't handle it badly at all. Well, I've probably spent enough time asking that question. I don't know if that even gets at what you were asking. We could talk a long time about thanks. Be sure that thanks is included in your prayers. That's what those two texts were going to be. Be sure a lot of thanksgiving is in your prayers. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication. In everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Let every prayer you pray almost, don't have to be legalistic about that, have a lot of thanksgiving in it. And then there's times and places, and how often should you pray? And the Bible says pray without ceasing. So you live in a spirit of prayer all day. You keep offering up your desires to God and pleading for help for everything you go through. But alongside that spontaneous, daily, hourly, moment-by-moment praying, there are these set times, like Psalm 119, 164, 7 times a day I praise you. Isn't that amazing? Because of your righteousness. Or Daniel. Now, when Daniel knew that the document was signed, that nobody should pray to anybody but the king, he entered his house. Now, in his roof chamber, he had windows open to Jerusalem, and he continued kneeling on his knees 3 times a day, praying and giving thanks before God. That's civil disobedience in your face with a vengeance, right? We got the law of the Medes and Persians, can't be broken. Only pray to the king. And he goes before an open window 3 times a day and gets down on his knees facing Jerusalem and prays, "Oh Jehovah, Yahweh, you are my God." Well, you're in the lion's den, fella. That's good. But the point is, 3 times. 3 times there, 7 times here. So here's the question. What's your pattern? And you say, I don't have a pattern. I pray all day. That's not good. because that will not work in the end. Spontaneity without some discipline becomes worldliness in the end and rut. Nobody is purely spontaneous. Spontaneity of the most creative kind grows out of some of the most rigorous disciplines of life. It's like farming. One of the most spontaneous things about farming is that corn comes up out of the ground. There it is, knee-high by the 4th of July, if you live in Nebraska. And it just grows, and the farmer watches it. Wow, man, that's exactly what I want, spontaneous growth in the field. Well, there was some sweat behind that, you know. He plowed the field, he planted the seed. Spontaneity grows in the field of well-furrowed rows. You want spontaneity? Stick with the discipline. I'm not telling you what the discipline should look like for you, because I don't think we should do that for each other. Like, got to read the Bible an hour a day, or got to read the Bible 30 minutes a day, or got to pray an hour, you got to pray what, or got to do it 3 times, or got to do it 7 times, or got to do it in the morning, or you got to do it in the evening, or you got to do it morning, noon, and evening. But what I'm saying is, find it, look for it, change it now and then. Ask if you're satisfied right now, and if you're not, take 10 minutes this afternoon, that's all. 10 minutes to plan how it would look this week, different than now. The reason we don't change our disciplines is that we don't plan to change them. We just keep getting up 10 minutes before it's supposed to happen, and there's no time left, and so it never changes. But if you take 10 minutes to plan, you know, this is true of all of life. You know the guys who write books about management, like 1 Minute Manager and that sort of stuff? They make millions of dollars, and you know they only have one message? I picked up one in an airport one time, and I just flopped it open to the middle. And this is a book that's probably sold, 5 million copies to people who run churches and businesses and everything. They run the world. And I just flopped it open, a book on management, and it said, if you get nothing else in this book, get this. Take the first 10 minutes of your day to plan the rest and prioritize the things that have to happen in it, period. And for that, he makes $1 million a year. And that's true. That's not a joke. Because when you hold these seminars, basically what they say to businessmen is, do what you know already to do. These businessmen who go to these seminars, these success seminars, these time management seminars, try to figure out how they'll do their lives, they know how to do their lives. They never learn one new thing at those seminars. They just get the inspiration to do what they know to do. They get the motivation because these guys are so creative. These Zig Ziglar types are so creative and so motivational, inspirational. The guy says, yeah, I should get up 10 minutes earlier and plan my day. And they come back at the end of the year and say, here's your $1 million because it works. And it does. It does. If you will take 10 minutes to plan your day and how Jesus and Bible reading fit into it, instead of just running to breakfast, running to the newspaper, running to put your clothes on, running to shave, and then realizing there's no time for the Bible, and running off to work, and doing the same thing the next day, and the same thing the next day, and the same. Well, of course it never works. But if somebody could inspire you to do the obvious, namely take 5 or 10 minutes to plan where it's going to fit in the day, and then put it in your calendar and call it an appointment, and don't accept any other appointments because it's blocked off, it's going to happen. But that takes 5 or 10 minutes to do that. It doesn't happen without discipline. So, without telling you what it should look like, I just say it should look like. It should be there. Any question about that? And that discipline dimension over against spontaneity, both are absolutely crucial. We want to be spontaneous. We want to be able to pray in the car and pray while we're pushing a lawnmower and pray while we're shoveling snow and pray while we're jogging on a jogging machine and pray without ceasing all day long. That's part of it. But you better be alone with God over the Bible for certain times every day. And try different times and try different ways. Don't let it get too old.